Welcome to Game 3 of Nahiri Control in Modern. This hand is alright. Bit land heavy. We don't have a lot of stuff to do on the early turns. But that said, we have a cryptic. I think we can keep this. In a game where we don't know what we're playing against, I think this is fine because of the lighthouse as well. Pluto Delta. Just gonna play the Wandering Fumarole tapped and pass the turn. Steam vents for our opponent. So Grixis. Or maybe blue-red. Perhaps a Delver build. Just using Delta as a functional Scalding Tarn. So I'm going to crack this fetch. Gonna get Sacred Foundry tapped. Now, alright, so we have a Snapcaster Mage. I'm just going to play this Hallowed Fountain tapped. And depending on what they do, I'm going to bolt them. So we have the bolt in our graveyard for Snap Bolt. So they're just playing lands and passing. I'm really not sure what we're playing against. So I'm just going to bolt and see if I can get something out of them. Nothing. I'm going to play the Lighthouse and just pass. I mean, I'm fine with them doing nothing. I'd rather them be empty-handed. I'd rather them sling stuff and us stop them. Oh, Thing in the Ice. So Thing in the Ice Storm, maybe? Sure. Colonnade. I'm going to play the Sulphur Falls. The reason I didn't do anything to the Thing in the Ice, I didn't counter it or didn't attempt to mana leak, is because I want them to cast all the spells out of their hand. So mana leak is going to hit that, I think. No, I'll let it hit me because of timely reinforcements. Just to kind of get us into a spot where we can gain 6 and put 3 1/1s. There's no reason for us to just not let that bolt go. Because holding up Cryptic Command was way more important there. And play the Mesa over the Celestial Colonnade just so I have access to both Mana Leaks and Snapcasters and all that sort of stuff. But actually, I'm going to crack it. I'm just going to give him even more incentive to go all in on this Thing in the Ice. I'm going to give him as much incentive as humanly possible. I'm going to play Timely Reinforcements. If he's smart, he's going to ping himself for 1. But I don't know if he noticed that. He's just going to counter it. Well, we're going to stop that from happening. There's no reason for us to let that resolve. Especially since his other mode was to draw. So we get blockers. And like I said, I'm trying to incentivize him as much as possible to flip this Thing in the Ice so I can get rid of it. And I want him to have as few spells in his hand as possible. So there's a possibility we're going to take 7 here. But that's okay. Untapped Steam Vents. So he's got a Cryptic Command in his hand. Bounces all the tokens, fine. And since now that he's totally showing Cryptic mana, he wouldn't have shocked. He could just be bluffing preposterously hard. Ooh. I want to play the Colonnade. Oh, just gonna verdict. What he might do is he might Cryptic Command to draw a card and bounce his Awoken Horror to his hand. Which I'm fine with, because it gets a Cryptic out of his hand. And he's only got 3 cards. So he won't be able to flip it right away unless he has a bunch of draw spells. Yep, he's going to Cryptic, return target permanent to its owner's hand and draw a card. Which is fine. He gets rid of our verdict is gone, but he doesn't know about our Snapcaster Mage. So we can still verdict if we have to. I wish we had a path. So I was going to play the Thing in the Ice. Steam Vent's tapped. There's a possibility he's holding up Cryptic number 3, but I highly doubt it. So I'm just going to play Nahiri, because we still have mana for Cryptic Command. That's why I played the Flooded Strand. I'm going to plus and not discard anything. Is that the 4th Cryptic? Or the 3rd Cryptic? Yeah, it's the 3rd Cryptic. So, that's silly, but I'm going to crack this. I'm going to get a Island. And I'm also going to Cryptic, but instead of drawing, I'm going to bounce the Thing in the Ice. Because a Thing in the Ice slipped can kill our Nahiri immediately. So unless he can give it haste, he's not doing anything with the Thing in the Ice. But I don't like tapping out against a red deck. They've hit a lot of land drops. I think they've hit all of them. So that's actually good news for us in a way, because it means they're not drawing more gas. So they run their Thing in the Ice back out. Bolt targeting us, but it's probably going to be redirected to Nahiri. Probably, if he has another bolt, Nahiri's going to die, and that makes me sad. Bedlam Reveler to draw 3 cards. Card's sweet. I attempted to play with it in my Paper Magic Delver deck. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's a sweet card. So he committed really strongly to this board. So I'm actually going to plus Nahiri first. Reason I'm plussing Nahiri is so that way he can't respond with a bolt. And I'm going to Snapcaster Mage and Supreme Verdict. The nice thing about drawing the second Snapcaster Mage, if he somehow has a counterspell, it's gonna be fine. I mean, so we wipe the board. He has 2 cards in hand. We have the Snapcaster to flash in and block, depending on whatever's going on, but I think that we're okay. So he drew a land, or he already had one. Pyromancer's Ascension. I think we might have to exile that with Nahiri. He's got a lot of stuff in there. 2 mana. Manamorphose. Thing in the Ice. Okay. Alright, so he's going to have 1 card in hand. Well, alright, so we drew a land, so that... Oh, we have the Lighthouse. Okay. So I'm going to minus to get rid of the Pyromancer's Ascension so he can't just flip Thing in the Ice by casting 2 spells. In the future. He won't be able to do it now because he doesn't have any counters on it. But my plan is to exile the Pyromancer's Ascension, and then hold up Snapcaster for our Cryptic Command. And if he does nothing, I'm just going to Desolate Lighthouse and pitch that Steam Ends. I feel really safe about minusing this Nahiri, because if he draws a bolt, we have the Snapcaster. And if he draws nothing, he has a 0-4 defender, and we're not attacking, and neither is he. So I'm not worried about the Thing in the Ice. So we drew Serum Visions. I'm on the fence about whether or not we just counter this. I think the problem with countering it is we can't counter something that kills Nahiri. If we don't counter it, he gets to set up the top of his deck, and he gets to draw and remove a counter from Thing in the Ice. So I think I let it go, because Serum Visions isn't the problem. It's whatever he draws and or tops with Serum Visions. But he bottom both cards, and he drew a Pyromancer's Ascension. This is another thing I'm wondering if I just get rid of it. In response, I'm gonna Desolate Lighthouse. See if I can't hit a remand or something just to make him play it again. Spell Snare, even better. I didn't even think about hitting Spell Snare, and this was a phenomenal draw. I'm really glad I did that. So he blind drew the Pyromancers, and he bottom both. So, ooh, another Spell Snare. Spicy. So we're just going to plus Nahiri and pass. Going to hold up the Snapcaster and the Spell Snare. We don't even need to use the Lighthouse. He's going to probe. Fine. I don't mind that. Just to see our Spell Snare and our Snapcaster, which is alright. And he drew a probe with a probe. He has enough mana that he doesn't even need to pay the life. Is he trying to flip it? He's trying to flip it. We're going to run that into a snare. Alright, so the Thing in the Ice is on 1. And I'm not a fan of that. Okay, so this is draw all the answers .deck. So we're just going to pass. The reason I'm not just pathing now, well, yeah, the reason I'm not pathing now is because he needs to play a spell and get his card. I want him to get the cards out of his hand. Kind of like what I was saying at the beginning of the game. I want him to commit so I can blow his plan out of the water. So if he has a counterspell, he has a counterspell, and our opponent scoops. So we would have drawn a Snapcaster and then Ghost Quarter and a path. Yeah, it was only getting good for us. So we're going to bring in the Dispel, the Negate, Rest in Peace, Purge, maybe Wear Tear. I think Wear Tear. And Counterflux. Okay, the reason it might seem strange bringing in Rest in Peace against a non-dredge deck, but the reason is because of Ascension. Ascension needs spells in the graveyard in order to work. And, I mean, it gets rid of our Snapcaster Mages, and our Snapcaster Mages are the only reason we won that last match. But this there's no way they're going to be able to deal with that. I don't think they're going to expect us to bring in Rest in Peace. Celestial Purge, kind of the same thing. It deals with the Ascension. I'm going to get rid of the Reinforcements. I'm going to get rid of Electrolyze. I'm going to drop a Nahiri. I'm going to cut maybe a Bolt. Yeah, I'm going to cut a Bolt. Doesn't kill enough stuff. I'm going to cut 2 Bolts. Run it back like that. See how it works out. Sand is fine. Since we know they don't have any hand hate spells, it's not a bad start. It's a little slow for what they're doing. But we have the Serum Visions, and they shouldn't be too fast. It's kind of a risky keep, but we're doing it being up a game. Perhaps I'm just being overconfident, but I think it'll be fine. So they probe us, they get to see our action. Surprised to see them pay the life, or not pay the life. Even with the mana untapped, I would have paid the life. or just to leave the mana on tap, so if I drew Serum Visions or something. So I'm surprised to see that. I'm gonna, and then we're not playing Burn, so it is extra weird. So I'm gonna Serum Visions. We drew another Serum Visions, but we have Wear Tear on top, which I'm going to leave because Pyromancer's Ascension helps them flip Thing in the Ice so much easier. Yep, there we go. We're already paying off bringing that in. So if you didn't catch it when I showed it the first time, when I said that it requires the graveyard, it requires cards with the same name as a card in your graveyard in order to work. So we're gonna play the Arid Mesa. I'm just gonna do this now. I'm not even gonna give him the chance to respond. But I am gonna Serum Visions first. Oh, and we drew Rest in Peace. Jeez. You might be asking yourself, why tear it if you have the Rest in Peace? Well, because if he crypt commands and bounces it, or does anything else to the Rest in Peace, and then goes off with like 3 Gitaxian probes, then I'm up the creek without a paddle. So it's better just to get it off the table and then answer it that way. And also we have this Snapcaster Mage. So since we don't need to Rest in Peace yet, I'm probably actually going to Snapcaster and flashback Serum Visions, just to dig and to get some use out of the Snapcaster before we Rest in Peace. It's unfortunate that, so we drew Remand, which we knew we were going to draw, so I'm just going to play the Colonnade and hold up Remand. The reason I'm doing that instead of just playing the Rest in Peace again is we don't really need to play Rest in Peace yet. We don't know if they're playing Snapcaster. Chances are they are. I would be. At least 1 or 2, but that's just because I love Snapcaster Mage. So they're representing Cryptic Mana. Ooh, and we drew Supreme Verdict. I think I'm just gonna play the Fumarole and pass. Or I could do the Serum Visions thing with the Snapcaster. I could see that eating a Cryptic, and I think I'm okay with that, just to get it out of his hand. But then we're tapped out for a turn, because I'd probably be playing the Fumarole. I think I want to get the Cryptic command out of his hand, and to give Rest in Peace, just so I have no reason to not play the Rest in Peace other than them not doing it. I just want to get the Snapcaster Mage out of my hand. So they're going to counter draw. Yep. The reason I didn't play the land first, by the way, is because if they wanted to get cheeky, they could have bounced Colonnade, and then it would have had to come back into play tapped. And then then we're behind on mana, and that's not where we want to be. Or they could have bounced the Fumarole. So they play the Thing in the Ice, which is fine. They could Serum Visions or Sleight of Hand and then Gitaxian Probe a bunch of times. So he paid the life, which means chances are he's going to try to go off. But it doesn't have haste, so it's okay. He might not try to go off since he sees our hand and knows that we have Supreme Verdict. Knows that we have Rest in Peace. Knows that we have Remand and Nahiri. So he might not he might not do anything this turn. Chances are he's going to wait until we do something with what's in our hand. I don't know why he would try to go off here unless he can give it haste and then put us to 10. But then if we do that, if he does that, we're just going to play Nahiri in minus. Steam Vents untapped. Bedlam Reveler. Okay, that's why he did it. I see now. So I think I'm going to Verdict. He's probably baiting me into the Verdict. But that said, It's a pretty good bait. That's a Thing in the Ice on 1. And a Bedlam Reveler, which... Well, the Thing in the Ice bounces the Bedlam Reveler, but then again he gets to draw 3 more cards when he plays it. There could be just bananas cards in his hand now. Well, he discarded his entire hand, or his hand was empty. He had 2 deltas. Yeah, he has no plan because he drew... Well, he's probably got a plan now, but he had a blind draw, so I'm just going to verdict. Just get it out of the way. I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong to do it. Bedlam Reveler and Thing in the Ice on 1 are intimidating, to say the least. But, yeah, sure. But, like I said, he could have just been baiting me and he could go off right now. He didn't, however. He has 2 unknowns. But I think it's worth just playing the Nahiri. It could get countered, which is fine, because we have an extra one. Tempted to discard the Rest in Peace here, or the extra Nahiri. See if I can draw Spell Snare, or Dispel. But I can see Nahiri dying to Thing in the Ice very easily. So I'm just going to not discard and pass the turn. Or I could see Double Bolt on Nahiri, which happens a lot. Nahiri on 6 eats Lightning Bolt like a champion. Pyromancer's Ascension. Sure. Okay, I think we play the Rest in Peace now. See what our opponent does. They have Cryptic Command mana, but that's okay. So now they have a useless Pyromancer's Ascension. We lost a couple of really important cards. Like, this is a 1-of, and that's a 1-of. And if we draw Emrakul, we can't win with him. But that's okay. I'm going to discard this Cryptic Command here. I'm going to play this and shock it. Just pass. The reason I shocked in, even though we have the remand, is because if he plays a 1-drop, Cryptic Command is superior. Sure. I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let everything go until things get nuts. So he bottomed both, which is great for us. Lightning Bolt at me. This may seem odd, but I'm going to tap his creatures down. Creature. So, and he has a Dispel, which is unfortunate for us, because Nahiri's most likely about to die. But we have another one. Either that or we're going to take 7. Hopefully we take 7. Bolts. So we have Fumarole to block, and we have Colonnade to block. So I think I'm just going to plus her up. Not discard and pass. I'm keeping the Bolt just for an insurance policy. Yep, Thing in the Ice is going to flip. It's fine. So, alright, we're going to see if he attacks us or Nahiri. If he attacks Nahiri, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to play this other Nahiri, and I'm going to minus to exile the Awoken Horror. So he's attacking Nahiri. Well, alright. There's a couple of ways we can look at this. He kills Nahiri. Play the second one. He either counters it or bolts it as soon as we minus, and then we just have Remand and Bolt. And we have plenty of lands. We don't need the extra lands for Snapcaster. So we're going to see what happens when we animate this Fumarole and block. I'm not going to change power and toughness and risk it getting bolted. This thing doesn't have trample. I'm more than happy to trade this land away. Ooh, 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 ooh. I can kill it. Oh wait, no, I can't, because it only deals 4. I could give it 7 toughness, but that's not worth anything. So we untap Serum Visions. We're gonna discard the visions just so we don't have to pay mana for it. Mana Leak the draw. I was kind of hoping to draw a land. So this Nahiri is gonna go to 2. Or we play this Nahiri and minus and kill that. Let's see what happens. I was really hoping for a land there instead of Mana Leak. So we'll untap. There's not a lot we can do at this point. So getting rid of that Serum Visions may have been a mistake. Yeah, so he's going to hit Nahiri. I'm going to let it go. We'll see if he has the Bolt. And if he has the Bolt and it kills Nahiri, that's fine. Because I'm going to kill this Nahiri myself if he doesn't. And that Bolt is a Bolt that's not hitting me if it kills Nahiri. Paying costs. Yep, so he's got the Bolt. Kills Nahiri. Fine. We could have stopped it, or we could have tried to remand just to draw. But I'm okay with just letting it go. Because he has all the mana in the world to fight back. So we're going to exile. Pass the turn. I mean, we could have emptied our hand to stop him. But I feel that we're in a commanding enough position that seems unnecessary. Second path. So I don't see us losing with this second path. First path is okay because it can get countered. Second path makes it significantly better, especially with the Mana Leak and the remand. So let's see what he has. This looks like a Bedlam Reveler hardcast. And I'm going to stop that. Okay, he doesn't have enough mana because Bedlam Reveler costs 8. 8. And he only has 7. So he's just going to pass. Third path to exile. Nice. Alright, so I'm going to discard this Bolt. We don't need it. It doesn't kill anything. We drew Desolate Lighthouse, which is good because it turns on our Colonnade as a blocker. I'm not going to attack with him anytime soon. There's no reason for us to start doing that. Thought Scour, who's he targeting? Yeah, I can see why he'd target me. Okay, so what are the odds he mills Emrakul? I mean, we can go on the Colonnade beatdown plan. But I'm really concerned that we mill Emrakul. Looks like 34. The arrows are kind of covering it up. 34 cards left in our deck. One of them is Emrakul. Let's try to fight over this, I think. Just to make him pay his mana. Or waste a counterspell on it. So Mana Leak's gone. Let's remand. I'm just trying to get him to tap his mana at this point. So we drew Fumarole. Alright. He's probably just going to cast it again. Yep. Sucks because he gets another thing in the ice trigger, but we have the path, so it's good. So he milled Spell Snare and Ghost Quarter. Heart sank a little bit during that exchange. Arid Mesa. Gonna discard that. Play the Fumarole and pass the turn. So even if he has all the counterspells in the world, he does not have enough to stop 3 paths. Even with the amount of cards in his hand, he does not have enough mana to stop 3 paths. Remanded Dispel. That Thought Scouring us is really smart on his part. We're going to attempt to path now. And we won. Our opponent scoops it up. Alright, that was game 3 with Nahiri control in Modern. Thank you for joining me, and come back for game 4.